Hello, everyone. Welcome back, Warriors, to Wheelchair Wednesday chat. And today I'm going to pick a big bone, which is transportation, is specifically public transportation per se. Van transportation is specifically what I want to target. There are cities out there and towns that have absolutely no transportation for people with disabilities. And this needs to change. Why? Dumb question. People with disabilities want to get around and do things the same way people who are able-bodied, to go to the movies, to go to a doctor appointment, to visit family, to take a trip, to go to the pharmacy, and especially people with wheelchairs, sometimes due to weather or due to pain or their specific condition, they just can't use the public transportation. Getting on a bus, getting off the bus, having to transfer to another bus, it just becomes overwhelming and very difficult. So there are cities out there, towns that don't have any transportation whatsoever for people with disabilities. And I'll tell you right now, there should be. There absolutely should be. There should be no question about the need. I just read an article from Houston, Texas, which is a big city here in the United States, that has no van transportation for people with disabilities or people with temporary disabilities, whatever the case might be. And that shocked me because that city is big and has a lot of people, and I'm sure it has a lot of people using wheelchairs, more so than my city. So it's unbelievable. This guy who was in the article, and I'll post it down below, he was in some kind of accident. I think it was a car accident, and needed to get to a doctor's appointment. And there was no way. You know, he tried to get into a regular car. It wasn't possible, too painful. Some friends offered him a van. He was able to get to his doctor appointment that way. But to think that Houston does not have a program for people with disabilities at this stage in 2023 is a little, should I be shocked? So he's already communicated with his council, with a couple of politicians, with a couple of volunteers and people who are interested. So he's starting to move the wheels, and that's really important. If in your city, in your town, in your province, you don't have a program or a plan that has vans that can transport people with mobility issues and disabilities, that does not allow them to take, transportation, public transportation, then for Pete's sake, get together, contact your mayor, contact your governor, contact, organizations that might be willing to step forward and to start a program. It does require vans that are in good condition. It does require lifts or at least ramps into the van. It does require, decent straps, healthy straps, training to strap people in, training to make sure that if somebody gets sick in the van, how to attend to that, a first aid kit in your van, a cleanup kit in your van. So it requires some doing. And, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it. And I think a lot of people that work in that industry are highly rewarded by knowing that they help someone, just getting them from point A to point B, and seeing the smile on their faces and how they express their gratitude in regards to just being able to do normal tasks of life, just like anyone else. And without those programs, we pretty much become shut-ins, unless some kind of miracle happens and we're able to drive again. But that's not always possible. And it's not always possible because of the condition of the person, because of the cost of a vehicle, the training, the tools that go into adapting that vehicle. It's pretty costly. So I want to invite cities across any country, any province, any island to really consider getting together as people in need and discussing the possibilities and the options of creating a program or two programs. You know, if you don't want to be the only sole provider of vans for the people with disabilities, then pull somebody else in, another organization, and so people can have options, because you never know, you know, if one company has difficulty or whatever. It's good to spread the grants around. If you're going to work with grants, then it's good for it not to go into just one pot or one option for the people with disabilities. It's good to have two options, three options maybe, you know, of people and van companies that can participate in this type of program. So I want to encourage you to think about, if there is no transportation for people with disabilities in your area, then, you know, reach out to a friend, reach out to the mayor, write them a letter, tell them, hey, you know, I'm a person with disabilities with needs just like everybody else, to go to the pharmacy, to go to the doctor, to go see my family, and I can't because there is no transportation I can use at this time. So, and there's no van services for us. So I would like to look in and put on the docks, you know, a meeting in which we can get together of all those people who would be interested in starting a van program for us to be able to get around. San Diego just started one, San Diego, California. So anybody from San Diego here, check it out. They just started it, and it's $10 one way. You know, it's a little expensive, but the life out in California is expensive. So $10 might not mean a whole lot to you, but it's $10 one way. So I would encourage people from California to also find a grant to reduce that cost a little bit for people with disabilities, so that, you know, at least bring it down to half. You know, $5 one way and $5 the other way. So see if that's a possibility. But this article that I just ran into is from Houston, Texas. I can't believe this. The people in Houston, Texas don't have a program. I would encourage Houston to look at other cities nearby and see what they've done. Check out Dallas and see if they have one, and see how they put everything together. What are the rules and regulations? What is the licensing like? Who holds the license? You know, who regulates? Do they get grants? Is this a tax supported program? You know, there's many ways to do it. So you just have to write down a list of ways to do it, whether with grants, whether with a tax, whether with, you know, I don't know, tax on tires, or a tax on vehicles, or tax on, you know, raise a tax on freeways. I don't know. But that would be another way of doing it, either donations, grants, or taxes. And perhaps a tax, you know, could support the cost of the transportation. So instead of $12, you scoop up a little bit of the tax from freeways, or from tires, or from gas, and you scoop up a little corner of that for relieving the cost of the transportation in the vans. So again, you have to be creative. You have to start looking and making phone calls to those people who are interested. So start thinking. Start thinking of who you're going to reach out to and get that going. Because I think that to think that the people with disabilities don't have a care in the world and they just can stay home all day long, that doesn't work. That's not us. We have the same needs as an able-bodied person, and that's really important for the politicians to hear, that we are constituents, we are consumers, we are people who need to go to the doctor, who needs to go see family, who need to go to the park, or go to the museum, or, go to school, go to work. So, if you're going to increase those opportunities, there has to be a transportation plan, program that supports people with disabilities in your city, in your province, in your country. There has to be something. So here are a few pointers to keep in mind. Number one, the cost for the users. Do your best to keep it down. 2, reach out to politicians, to your council, to your board, to organizations that already run van programs, and see if they would be interested. You might have to divide the city or your area into north and south, or east and west. And so you would have 2 different programs, tackling one side or the other. So you might want to look at that as well. You want to make sure that all vans have, your first aid kit. You want to make sure they have a kit to clean up if somebody gets sick in the van, throws up, and you need to have that done. Make sure that they have constraints that they can strap down people in wheelchairs from all 4 points, not from 2, all 4 points. And people who drive these vans will understand what I mean by strapping someone down by all 4 points if they use a wheelchair. So, and put down rules and regulations for the vans, for the van drivers, for the location they're going to drive, for the passengers themselves. It takes a bit to put something together like this. So I truly want to encourage anyone who is interested to get together with another person who is interested in the program and start talking. Reach out to your politicians, reach out to your neighbors, reach out to organizations who would be interested in participating in running a program like this. And make sure that you have more than one program, because cities are big. And one program might not be able to cover the entire city. So go for it. Be hopeful. Think of funding resources, which would be donations, grants, or taxes, and see how it can be covered appropriately and that the passengers don't end up with a big bulk of the cost. Thank you so much for coming by. This is Lisa from World Wheelchair Warriors. I'm hoping to see you again. I do want to thank you for any likes, any subscriptions, any ideas that you want to put forward, any experiences that you've had in setting up these types of transportation programs. Your ideas and your experiences always help others. You never know who you're going to help next. So come again, and I hope to see you very soon.